Way downtown. Oh, what a shot!
What's up, NBA fans? Dom2K on the mic, and we all know that trash talking is a lost art in today's NBA. Even with all the friendships and high fives we see on the court, in my opinion, it's not that some of these guys don't want to talk trash to each other, it's more that the refs will pretty much call a tech if players even start looking at each other the wrong way. That really sucks for most of us who didn't quite live through the trash talk era, because that element helped spark rivalries, and rivalries are something the league could definitely use more of today. With that being said, the NBA didn't always clamp down on trash talk this way, and as a matter of fact, the NBA didn't even clamp down on hard fouls the way they do now. Because of that, we've got a nice selection of players to choose from for today's video, which will feature the NBA's all-time trash talking starting five. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into the lineup. Point guard, Gary Payton. If you're watching this video and you expected me to be edgy and put anybody other than Gary Payton at point guard, well, wait, why would you even expect that? If you didn't know anything about Gary Payton, you'd still know that he's a legendary trash talker, because that's just how much of a savage he was. We're talking about a guy who was recently talking trash as a crowd member at a high school basketball game, which is gonna go perfectly with Shaq's story. I'm not gonna go through this list rehashing every single story about the time they talk trash, but there are some good things to know just so you get the gist of why they're here if you didn't know already. For Payton, Shaquille O'Neal summed it up perfectly. He didn't just trash talk on the court, it was literally a part of who he was in life, hence the high school game I was talking about, and Shaquille O'Neal can explain this story a little bit better than I can.
He just didn't care. And the crazy thing about GP on the court, he was like that off the court. Like if he saw you in the mall, maybe that time I crossed you up, big fella, and I gave you that thing, you went up there, and you almost put your arm out of socket. You can't call me, boy, I'm a Hall of Fame. I'm first ballot, boy, I'm first ballot.
Everybody can understand the competitive side of a guy like Payton causing him to berate his opponent during the game, but off the court too, that's why nobody was ever going to get this spot over him. But I'm gonna take a wild guess and say he was probably crazier during the games. There's plenty of documented stories out there that back this up, like the time he hurt a role player's feelings by telling him he wouldn't even be in the league by next season, a moment where he called a coach a f***ing smurf and told him to sit down, and when he did the craziest thing of all, trash talking Michael Jordan. There's many reasons you wouldn't trash talk Mike, mainly because he got off on creating ways to challenge himself by humiliating lesser players on the court. Yet sure enough, if you did a quick Google search of Gary Payton in the finals, the first thing to come up would be a picture of him about to drop the F-bomb in Michael's face. Crazier than that, this wasn't even the first time he challenged him in that way, as he did it as a rookie too. Anybody who can talk to Michael the way Payton did with confidence is immediately a trash talking legend, so Payton is our starting point guard. Shooting guard, Michael Jordan. According to the view count on my Michael Jordan Savage video, plenty of you already knew that Jordan was getting the shooting guard spot here, and it really wasn't up for discussion. The thing with Michael, as I mentioned in the Payton section, is that there were times where he would get legitimately bored with the competition, so he would just invent things to get himself going, kinda like when he told Cavalier defenders everything he was gonna do before he did it on his way to 60 points. If that's not cool enough for you, there's also the time that Magic Johnson pretty much had to save Clyde Drexler from Michael Jordan's wrath during the Dream Team games, and that one was pretty brutal. Remember, this came right after Michael Jordan proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that he was the greatest player in the league over Clyde Drexler in the finals, and he was talking so much trash to Clyde about it that Magic called him off in fear that he was going to destroy his confidence for the Olympic Games. Okay, then there's the time he told Mutombo he'd dunk on him one day and did it while using his own finger wag against him, the time he ruined Muggsy Bogues' confidence by calling him a midget and daring him to shoot, and how he almost single-handedly ruined Kwame Brown's entire career with just words. You've heard a lot of these stories from me, and I'm pretty sure you've heard almost any other story there is out there from other videos, so let's move on, you know why he's here. Small forward, Reggie Miller. Reggie Miller is widely regarded as one of the best trash talkers of all time by his peers, but surprisingly, there aren't a ton of stories out there about specific incidents, but his famous moment in New York alone vouches for whatever we haven't heard, because that's still iconic to this day. When Reggie was giving the Knicks the business in the playoffs, he was also going back and forth with Spike Lee at the same time. That only got better when he made the choke sign towards him, and there just really aren't many moments in NBA history more famous than this one. Could you imagine if any player got into it with a fan like this today? The fan would be tossed out of the arena and banned, the player would be thrown from the game and fined, and it would just really be a huge mess. I really wish there was more specific stories about things Reggie said, but a lot of his peers vouch for him, so he's getting the small forward spot. Power forward, Larry Bird. So although Larry Bird played most of his career at the small forward spot, he could also play the power forward position, and for the sake of this video and needing to fit Reggie Miller in at the small forward, he's going to play the 4 here, so it's really not that big of a deal. And by the way, there was no way I could make a video about trash talking and not have Larry Bird in it. Larry Bird has a ridiculous amount of stories out there about his trash talking, but none of them stick out more than the one that actually made Dr. J punch him. I'm pretty sure you guys have heard it already. Larry was counting out loud how many points he had compared to Irving, and once he told him he was too old and that it was time for him to retire, Dr. J pretty much lost it and started punching him. The thing about trash talk is that it was just how a lot of these guys got themselves amped up. Charles Barkley described it as something that wasn't ill-natured, but rather it was just something they had all grown up doing. Anytime you can get someone to start swinging on you because they've got nothing left to say, it's safe to say you struck a nerve. The thing with Larry Bird was that he backed up his trash talk pretty much 100% of the time. It wasn't like he was talking to just do it. He would do things risky like tell his teammates he was wide open while being defended by Dennis Rodman and still light him up. And there just aren't many players in history that'd be willing to take risks like that, so Bird is getting the starting power forward spot here. Center, Kevin Garnett. What better player to round out our starting five for trash talk other than the man who had no limits himself, the Big Ticket. I made a video about some of his craziest trash talk moments about a year ago, and if you watched it, you likely already know that this guy just didn't care. Where Charles Barkley said the trash talk from the time wasn't ill-natured, well, some of the KG stories seem a little bit ill-natured. Most of us were around for the cancer patient story that surfaced about Charlie Villanueva. There was also the instance where he supposedly talked about Carmelo Anthony's wife, which got Melo so hot that he tried to come see him after the game where the buses were being loaded. We still haven't gotten the full story about that one, and I hope it finally comes out one day. If you ask me, I think KG was a master of trash talk because whether he would have actually done anything or not, his over-the-line method got into a lot of players' heads and really took them out of their game. Chris Bosh attested to that. But anytime a player would confront him, Garnett would immediately throw his arms up and back away so he wouldn't get in trouble for whatever it was he did, often leaving the other player fuming. That's the definition of getting into somebody's head, and that's why he gets the starting center spot. So let's talk about this starting five: Payton, Jordan, Miller, Bird, and Garnett. Just for the hell of talking about it, I love the talent on this team. You have elite defenders in Payton and Jordan and Garnett, and amazing shooters in Miller and Bird, an amazing passer in Bird, and whatever else you need on offense could be covered by Michael Jordan. But man, could you imagine any starting five being able to finish a game against these guys without losing their temper? Payton's gonna talk the entire night, Jordan is gonna talk while he's created whatever challenge he's needed in his mind to get himself going, Miller's gonna piss you off, Bird is gonna back up absolutely whatever he said, and Garnett is gonna cross any line that he has to get inside your head. In a game of 21, it's gonna be hard for anybody to get to 10 before they lost their cool the same way Dr. J and Carmelo did. Whatever team you build to go against these guys, just make sure it has Tim Duncan on it because he was pretty famous for just not saying anything to anybody who was gonna trash talk him. Although I have seen footage of him and Garnett going chest to chest, so maybe he's not so immune to it, but I'm just trying to give you your best shot. So if that's something you want to do in the comment section, you can go for it and try to build a team you think could take these guys. Honestly, from an all-time perspective, it's probably not that difficult because there's still a lot of people out there like Magic Johnson, Kobe Bryant, Wilt Chamberlain, so because Payton and Miller are in the lineup, you can probably find a team that can beat these guys 5-on-5 just as long as they can keep their cool. But for those of you who just want to watch the world burn, you could put a starting five out there with somebody like Artest and Ben Wallace on it because I doubt that game would finish. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video, and what I'm gonna do is, in the link in the description, I'm gonna link you guys to videos and articles of trash talk stories if you want to read more. I just figured there's so much out there. I've made some videos about trash talk on my own. It's just these stories have been recycled so many times that I didn't want to tell like 5 for each player. I just wanted to establish what I think would be the all-time starting 5 for the NBA trash talk team. So if you agree or disagree, leave that in the comments section. Tell me who you would replace who with, or if you would leave it the same, or whatever you would do with it, just leave it in the comment section. Hit the like button and subscribe if you enjoyed, and hit the bell next to my name if you want notifications on future videos. I'm Dom2K, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.